Welcome to the second panel. Kashi Kante, the political coordinator in Dakar, and I'm too tall. I'm taller. So my office is in Dakar, and I am there for the time being. Congratulations to Kokodi for having organizing this 20th conference. So we are now going to talk about a topic which has already been talked about on the participative budget, and that panel will be a participative budget in the cities. One problematic have already been addressed. So to do so, we have varieties of speakers that I'm already thinking already. Let me find my list. First, Jean-Jacques Yapou, DG Oluvikosi. That a round of applause for him. Jean-Jacques is there. So it's a pleasure to find him because he's part of the first generation who have been trained on the participative budget in Abidjan. Dr. Adigo Nyamo Agnes. Is she around? So since friends, we are welcoming Diogo Fernandez, the director of the House of Democracy. Gebo, welcome. So we skip oceans and to go to France. Then we are honored to welcome the ambassador Angolan woman, the ambassador of Switzerland in Cote d'Ivoire. Your Excellency, thank you for your participation. And the fifth participant is the mayor of Chechua, Maroc, but he couldn't come, he couldn't make it. So we're going to work with the four panelists who are there, and I thank them a lot. One announcement before after the cabling. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Charles Seri, General Commissioner of this conference. I do apologize for coming to the mic, but I have important information for all our participants coming from neighboring countries. Some got their passports, which was taken to them at the airport. It's normal, it's a normal procedure, but because the visa payment are the charge of the organizers, but now that we have received the last participant coming from abroad, we can give you this announcement. Now, I will ask all the participants coming from the outside of ECOWAS whose passport have been taken. We want you to write your name on the list that will be now the list that will be going around, so that we can start the process of visa payment for your passport to be handed over to you. The second information is the PCR test for the panelists that we are with us, the international conference men that are under our charges. We are taking charge of them, taking care of them. So if you are in this case, also another list will go around. So I want you to write your name on the list so that we can get your paper in very quick time. Thank you for having interrupting me. So since yesterday with the presentation of IFCADA, since I think he's in the room, since it's emergency in the participatory budget, they have undergone improvement. We went from more than 1,000 cases when the expansion started. After the Brazil to more than 2,000 4 years after, and the last assessment that was done in October is showing us more than 11,000 of participatory budgets in the world. So this shows a great change for just new approach. So I would say that all the continent was taken on board in the geographical way. We noticed that the great cities are touched as the smallest one. But more and more, we notice that those great and large cities are those cities who are taking ownership of it and making going around. So we also note a diversification, a thematic diversification. It was an approach for the government, but more and more this approach is going towards the youth problematic, inclusions of children, educations in schools, climate change. And I think we talked about that yesterday, and even Eve talked about the participatory budget. And we note a variety of thematic which meet the needs of the communities of the municipalities regarding the problem that those people in those municipalities have been going through. But now we have to note that no matter the variety of thematic that those topics, we have questions related to the participation of populations, the commitment of the populations, also solidarity, and then we saw it with this first panel on the environmental management. So we have variety of topics, we have some varieties on principles, and that is what we are now going to see with this panel. We'll be on the participatory budget and how to commit the citizens of from their territories. But just to talk about that, we only have 1 hour, so it's a time constraint, but we have to do with it. For the framing, I will suggest, if you have already prepared presentation, I think that's what I heard, you have 10 minutes to do the framing. So 4 times 10 minutes, we have 40 minutes, and then we're gonna have 20 minutes left for the discussion. So without any further ado, I will start with my left side. So we have significant and high-ranking authorities here, directed by His Excellency. So let me start with Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire, Jean-Jacques Yapo, who is the regional director of UBCOC. He will do his presentation, 10 minutes presentation, and after Jean-Jacques will take over. And are you ready now? You have it? Are you ready? You can go straight. Does he have a mic?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, dear co-panelists. Thank you, Bachir. Thank you to the International Observatory for Participative Democracy for giving me a chance to make a presentation on the participative budget as per the Ivorian model. As Bachir said, I'm Jean-Jacques Yapo, Director General of UVCOC, the Association of Communes and Cities of Côte d'Ivoire. I have a presentation, images and videos, because I want to show you what we did in some cities of Côte d'Ivoire. I requested these videos and pictures to be projected on the screen if the technical allows it. Else, we'll go straight to the point so that we have more time for discussion. I would like to say that the participative budget in Côte d'Ivoire truly started around 2004 with support from US aid which trained some decentralization agents, and then work was done, and this was in 2018. We're having Bashi Kanote as a trainer. He gave us good orientations. What I can say today is that Cote d'Ivoire is having 50 communes which have adopted the participative budget as an alternative management model for communes. And we, at the level of UVCOC and also the Direction General of Decentralization and Local Development, we received a support from Expertise France and from Canal France to implement that project in 7 cities and communes. In the meantime, we had trained 18 cities, and today, with the support of PAGOFT, the support program to open government in Francophone Africa, which is also a kind of fruit for a partnership for an open government, in which Cote d'Ivoire entered in 2008, and Cote d'Ivoire is now rolling out its 3rd action plan. So the topics in Cote d'Ivoire generally is about how we engage and involve the population in our decision-making processes, in designing our budget, how the populations are involved, consulted in the implementation of projects, and how those populations also take ownership of these projects. I don't think this is my slide. This is Senegal. I think it was a mistake. Thank you to change your pictures. So what is truly targeted is to talk about the participative budget and how we went about it. First of all, we carried out an advocacy because we have 2 situations which may happen. Either it is the municipality which decides, or it is an advocacy carried out by the civil society, civil society which thinks that they can be entrusted the co-construction of any project on the municipal territory. So what we decided is to carry out advocacy in our capacity of UVCOC, or Direction General of Decentralization. So we did that advocacy with the mayors, and 7 mayors accepted to do this with us, with PAGOF. What I want to say now, what I prepared, is truly the policy decision that the mayors took, the mayor of Yakasiatobru, Agu, and the mayor of Tiasale. So these are the situations we're going to discuss, but especially the Tiasale situation, which is a kind of example, which is a kind of good example, because there is a true relationship between the elected persons and the population. That city is ruled by Asale Tiemoko. He was supposed to be with us. He was the one to share this experience, but he couldn't make it. He had time constraints, so I'm doing this presentation on his behalf. So this project is going to be presented before the mayor joins us. This is something you have to bear in mind. We presented this project in 2017. It was in 2018, the mayor, Asale Tiemoko, came and patronized this idea. I will not say more about this process, but just like the mayor of Senegal said, we have neighborhood councils, in Tiasale. We have neighborhood councils which are including any actors, even the vulnerable people are included in these neighborhood councils, community council, and they are making an inventory of the challenges, the difficulties at the neighborhood or community level. then they will set priorities of these issues and share them with the municipality council via what we called the fora of delegates, because everywhere we go we divide the communes in many areas or zones based on sociological criteria or any other criteria to better engage and involve the population and to make sure nobody is excluded, because at the end of the day, that is the purpose. Nobody living in the city be included, be excluded. Anybody at all, foreign or local people living on the territory, should be included in terms of challenge or difficulty. The pictures, maybe I'll show you the pictures so that you trust me based on what I'm talking about. The pictures, but I'm not sure about the videos. So these are the pictures. We are at the end of this process I'm talking about, and this is the communal fora where the delegates were making an inventory of their challenges, the set priorities, and they came to the municipality council with 21 projects. But as downstream with the system we implemented, the mayor implemented some neighborhood or community council which were sharing the challenges with the mayor all along. So in his 3-year program, he already included 17 of the 21 projects which were coming from the participative budget, so that when we came to this step of communal fora, whereby the entire council is sitting on the same table with the population which mandated them, the delegates would then present the project so that the population gets to know that these are the projects they proposed, and what the council is saying and what the shared with them is consistent. So through a process we assess, because I forgot to tell you this, out of the 7, Yakase gave 10 million for the projects which were coming from the participative budget. Agu provided 14 million, Ume provided 5 million, Grand Laou gave 10 million, but Tiasale gave the biggest amount, 60 millions availed for any project coming from the participative project. So when we finished,
it remained 4. There were 4 projects left over the 21, because the first job that was done was to collect the needs. It enabled the population to express themselves. And his motto, he said that when we finish this forum, he said, if we succeed, the year to come, he will adapt 100 million on that, because he is elected to meet the needs of the population. And if the needs of the population can be taken into account by can be managed or monitored by the budget of the commune, he doesn't see the importance to do anything outside of the need of the population. This is what I wanted to say, because I wanted to say as what has been achieved for the participative budget. So just to say that today the population has a key role to play in questions related to local development. In local governing, we have to put the population at the center of the development. If we don't put the population at the center of the development, we may fail, because questions related to sustainability of project, we talk about that many projects are supported by donors, but when donors stop funding, what does that project become? We have to have a sustainability of those projects, and then the role of the population should be to be a controller. Thank you for telling me that it's time. I know. No. So the citizen control should be done. You have the power to control the action. So the population should take ownership of their power and then do it as they can do it in the normal way. Thank you. Thank you, Jean-Jacques, for this presentation. The mayor is not there, but you are the essential rapporteur of what has been done, and then for the participative project, the way they move from the start for downstairs up, from down to up the level. So thank you for this presentation, and thank you for having managed the time. So second speaker will be Mrs. Dr. Adiko Niamon Agnes from the University Félix Houphouët-Boigny. You have 10 minutes. Yes, 10 minutes, not more than that. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you to the team who invite me to that conference and for me to share the information I could collect toward my populations and my work as a program coordinator on questions of urban security. I am a lecturer at university, but I know more about ground issue. And what I want to say today is to share this experience with you. When my colleague asked me to talk about the participatory budget, I said, what would I have said? But I had ideas of what it was, but when I look at what was happening yesterday, I saw some similarities and management strategy with many similarities with numbers of strategies that are developed inside the municipalities and the commune, which are based on local mobilization. And so I will essentially look at the residents' roles and see how the participatory budgets as the other approach, which puts ahead the inhabitant, how those approach can bring value to the population, and to see the limits of those participatory budgets. The first point I would like to talk about is to see the similarity between the participatory budget and the other approach. For sure, the question related to security, we have tried process them in 1914, 1915. They are the same process. This approach is made of different steps, moving from problem identification, diagnostic to the assessment, and then reach priorities. But the other approach also goes through that. We talk about consultative action plan, participative diagnostics, consultations. So you see, this is rather the same thing, and we talk about the inhabitants, the one residing the commune, the municipalities, and the approach is seen in all the sectors. Let us be the environment, poverty and security, the land issue, agriculture. These are the approach used by the mayor to mobilize the population. And some manual have been edited. We have some local manual which is showing the experience of Cote d'Ivoire on the management with the Cote d'Ivoire. Those manuals are based on the experience that have been achieved. We can see that the state of Cote d'Ivoire and the municipality took ownership of innovation to better their management system. So the question we may ask, like, why do cities need those innovations? Because those innovation based on the population based innovation, because we have the municipal council, where the needs of populations are processed there. We have also numbers of entities in the neighborhood who are controlled by the municipality. So why those participatory budget and those activities dedicated to the population, why it is valued? Why should we do the presentation, the promotions, to make the promotions? Why should we make the promotion of this? It's because there is a higher rates of social requests or needs to collaborate with the inhabitants. You know, when you go to neighborhood, we have many associations who work for the improvement of the environmental improvement, the management the management neighborhood committee. We see that there is a dynamism, an associative one we can lean upon. The problem is that there are many. It's not because there are many, but the problem is that those committees have many problems, so they don't have what they needed for public management issues. They don't have the tools needed for the development of the community. Problem of democracy, internal problem. These they are limited entities. So it seems that the participative budget and the other participative approach are opportunities for those populations to bring their contribution to municipalities, authorities, and is for the mayor level to mobilize a structure for the development of their municipality, the city. So by doing so, we move from the former management modes to better one. So we created the committee of security, where we have young people, old people, and all the sectors of activity of the city, the religious people, the traders, and they are the one that are identifying the problem. And this structure has been established thanks to municipality order. So we have an administrative aspect and a social one. So people who are represented in that security committee are those are represented the other structures and are shared in the community. For sure, we cannot take everybody. All the neighborhood cannot be represented, but the effort is made for this to be representative of the population. So this is the first point. Now, the associative network is an opportunity to develop and promote the participatory budget. The second point that we can agree on are the action means. Tichi talk about structuralization of this approach. We move from diagnostics and we go to priorities identification, then needs identification on the basis of priorities, and then we do the implementation. And one of the aspects that we sometimes forget is the assessment. So the 4 steps are mandatory. We notice that in the neighborhood, in the cities, we manage emergency problem, and we try when identifying the problem, we try to solve the problem, and we have the plans that help us to have information on what needs to be achieved, but we don't have those planning. And the innovation which is brought here with those new strategies is for a planning to be, but this is that culture we're not used to having, and that's why we should promote those elements. We should plan, move from the existing one where we have the way the population see the population to what we see as serious according to the neighborhood. So the neighborhood don't have the same problem, because I may consider that in my neighborhood people there are more robberies, but someone else may see that in his neighborhood the problem which is there is problem of accidents. So the viewpoint of each person, each actor should be taken on board, and then identifying the priorities. Do we have the needs to cope with all those problems at the same time? No. So we just go through priorities. So together we look at the priorities, because we have to look at the priorities regarding the financial means at our disposal, and look at the priorities regarding the partnership that we can have. But here in the framework of our project, it was not expected for the municipality to fund all the activities, but to see in the neighborhood between the professionals who can help out, because the transporters have the problem, the religious people have the problems, those who are living in rich neighborhoods have the problem, those who are living in poor areas, they also have their problems. So we have to think of the human resources, all the resources to meet the problem. And we have those session of actions, and what has been brought is important. I would like now to talk about what we call the project impact. When I was talking about action means, we have to take on board the qualification culture idea, and the questions which is highlighted here is the expertise of the people who will be monitoring these methods inside the cities, inside the municipalities. Sometimes we don't have enough experts. You see, the DD were trained by somebody coming from abroad. So, but question of replicability, we need to disseminate it. And the last point is a project impact. Just some notes. Solidarity, intercommunity aspect is important, but inside the population, why don't associations work together? Why don't neighborhoods work together to solve those problems? So for example, we have a problem of security in a residential estates. So sometimes we have security problem in those estates, but we cannot have an effective advocacy because the management committee and management or neighborhood committee. Look, 10 million, 20 million. So, do you think that this amount of money can develop a commune or develop a municipality, a city? So, the quality of the population. I just want to talk about that because it is up to the population to be the observatories of all question, all local question, because the mayor after the election, there we go. But the memory remains, and it's up to the population to look at what has been achieved. What is this is the element for the high scale promotion regarding the approach that the population should take ownership of the population, and the local authorities should take ownership of. Thank you, Doctor, for this the presentation. Moving from comparative analysis, what was existing, and the participatory budget. And what we also note, how can the participatory budget get diversified? So, thank you for this presentation. Now, we're going to cross the ocean to go to Europe, precisely. So we can see the delegation of Brenham is in the room. So we give the floor to Diego, who is the director of the local democracy house, for him to share with us his experience. So Mr. Diego, you have 10 minutes. So good morning to all of you. Thank you for this invitation to allow us to share with you our experience. So the trajectory of local democracy. I will try to be more brief, to give more time for discussion and share with you our experiences. So the participative, the budget is part of the renewing of the local aspects, and in an ecosystem which has many ports to associate inhabitants with on the sectors that we are all concerned. It has been created in 2015, and the participatory budget gave a power to act to inhabitants. Right now, up to this 7th edition, the participatory budget is proposed to the inhabitant to decide on amount of 800,000 investments euro 800,000 euros of investment, in which enable the achievement of 40 more than 40 projects on the needs of the population. And the participatory budget also serve as diagnostics, showing the priorities. For example, we can have a project on green space with biodiversity also. Biodiversity is also aspect, and also in public space and the contraceptive one. But topics like solidarity and also welcome place for all the inhabitants, for them to welcome particularly the people who are in a precarity situation. So up to now, we have the creations of bicycle workshop. We have public space, and then we have to fight against the precariousness. So the dimensions of sports and leisure is there, with the building of game place, space for game. So culture also is very important for the inhabitant, where we can see in all over the city some boxes for that everyone should have access to reading in the park of the city, in the area, by creating and enabling the inclusion. So the participatory budget enable that guidelines, and suggesting and choose the system of direct democracy, then with us, with the institution all together, by turning those ideas into reality, make it live it's on a daily basis. I will give you some peculiarities of participatory budget. So first and foremost, we have a strong action on the respect of inhabitants committing themselves in that approach, which is longer. So the commitment of an inhabitant to participatory budgets, once he has his idea, he has his box, and then it can go for years to the achievement and see the achievement of the project. So the implementation of the participatory budget, it is seen by the supporting by the support. So from the idea to the achievement and inaugurations, by favoring the commitments of the communities, and so we develop what we call a forum, which values and puts in relation the holder of the project and their ideas with the inhabitants of Egrenol. So it's a comfort for the city, and it's and permits is unable to see all the needs of the inhabitants, and we also take on board the commitments. The commitment of all. We are for the commitment of all. So the participatory budget is open to all the people, regardless of their nationalities. And somebody said that the democracy is not to show its right to vote, but is to vote all the time. So agronome populations free, and then this is given to the population, regardless their nationalities, but with a volunteer. And the team of the cities and those in the territories are trained to go to the young people and then to people living in popular neighborhoods. Sometimes those people are not participating in the public discussion. And then this approach will enable many participants to participate in that project, which is a city. So after this project is this project chosen by the inhabitants, so that during the achievement it should be shared in an equal manner, and the participative project in all the everywhere in the city. So the participative project is an improving aspect. So we are at the 7th edition now, but also the participation of inhabitants in the strategic choices. The pilot aspect is open to those who have their project, and this enable the inhabitants who are taking the time to engage them on that ideas and some. So the words is given to it is given to the inhabitant to have their say, and then no system, and the mayor talked about that yesterday during the opening remark. No system is perfect. All system has its limit, and we also have challenges to take up in the years to come for this system to be more and more inclusive, to be more efficient, effective. So first, I will remain on two challenges. We have a challenge on the reinforcement and relations between that system and the other system of the city. I was saying that participatory budget consists in the ecosystem, all the ecosystem. So it is not only stopping at the implementations of specific tools that are independent one another, so which depends on the existing dynamism between people, and which enable the expressions variety opinions, and this is to enable everybody to have the rights to participate, to get his viewpoint known, his hope, and also his agreement and his disagreement. So we can say that the shared government governing is seen with the participative budget, but with also citizens' initiatives, and democracy with the rights of all, with the system taking into account the needs of the population and more general participative edge, with the consultations and conventions, and also with the democratic aspects. And then you could even see the participative fund of inhabitants. So the second challenge is to continue to focus on the power of the participatory budget by underlying more and more the trust in the choice of the population on more ambitious projects in some contexts in France, the reduction of local budget, but also toward institutions. It's important to show to the citizen that we trust them, and the institution and the elected people wish to associate them on important choices on our common future, and this will be achieved. So the expression of that trust should be seen in a different way. In Agonal is seen, for example, in the association of in Minabiden in health crisis management, and the choice of ecologist choices, and also in the area of participative. But I'm done with the challenges, and our challenge should be seen from our 8th edition with more ambitious participatory budgets, for us to move to 1 million euros per project, and from the 8th editions in the year Green Capital, we give it certification of the participative part, and we invite you, and we say, so next year we tell you the way it is done. So we are expecting you there. You are invited. We are waiting for you there. See you next year. Thank you so much, Kebo, for this presentation. We know that it is the 5th edition, the 7th edition, sorry, and now the 8th will start on the ambition on 1 million euros. It's great. And then the call for the participation of all during the 21st conference. But I note what can be a motto: change the city for and by all the inhabitants. This is strong for me, and it is open to all with an inclusion aspect for foreigners who will have the right to vote also. Thank you for sharing with us the challenges that you have. I did not recognize the president of OIDP who entered the room. Mr. Mayor, welcome. The last speaker will be His Excellency the Ambassador Ambassador of Switzerland in Cote d'Ivoire, who is going to share with us experience. Your Excellency, thank you. You have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes. Dear participants, dear organizers, thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain in which case the participatory budget is seen in my country in a large governing aspect, decentralized one of our culture, and the structure of the states in my country enable the participants, the large participant. I will explain it with the mechanism principle. The first one is federalism, the second one is direct democracy, which is in our constitution. The my predecessors talk about that at the local level, but me, I will talk about on the federal level. But let us start with the federalism. It is interesting when we notice that Switzerland will be built since 700 years by an alliance of territories that was autonomous, and they stayed until 1848. That is where we have built the central states, and it shows why the 26 regions and 2,000 municipalities that remain autonomous, financially speaking, also because they are majorities because the central state in Africa only work on 20% of the taxes, and 80% are raised by the regions of the municipalities, and they remain autonomous for regarding the task of the state, the government. I mean, education, health. They are the one managing in the delegation of the central government. It is subsidiarity principle which is seen. That means when we think that an authority is closer to the citizen and is best in delivery the services, then it's us to deliver the service, and it is not assigned to a central authority. And this is seen by the fact that we have the separations of power, the legislative rights at each level. And for sure, on in the election, it is interesting to see that in municipalities at the level 3 of the federalism, we have all the mechanism of participatory budgets, which are the mandates of citizen assemblies for the small municipalities, and a citizen councillor who has been elected and playing the role and then the leader there, and just assess the budget. It is important because, like I said earlier, it's not that transfer coming from the federal state and then the citizen has to manage. No, there are gotten from the municipalities, from the local authorities, and then that population pay taxes. So what the federal government does, because I am one of the representative and I have to explain and give more details, so that what we do is that we going to at a federal level be in charge of what we call financial sustainability. So more taxes would be transferred, and this is done via mechanism put in place by the federal authorities. And after all the government tasks of Switzerland are under the power of the federal entity, and the definition of the sector policies is the affair of the federal authorities. So in the beginning there were not that large, they didn't have the large scope, but in this crisis situation, there have been restorations, because it was not easy for 20C region to have its health law. So the federal authorities took back charge of that. So this enable significant autonomy, and more we are close to the citizen, more we know is needed, more we try to find solutions for that. In Switzerland has a very great decentralization program, not in Cote d'Ivoire only, but also in Israel. Let me coming to direct democracy. We may say that we have a direct democracy system, was very good and better, and we say that at each level the citizen can bring their proposal no matter the topic. That's why we vote in Switzerland 12 or 15 times a year. So it's simple. It's just a group of signatures to get 100,000 signature. If then those 100,000 signatures are validated, then it is proposed for the modification of the law. So there is also the possibility to put out questions law that's been voted, and all the modifications of the law should be validated by the people. We don't have constitutional court. It's now this, because this constitutional concerts now a problem, because sometimes they are problematic, and then the population is undergoing this. So just to give you an example, we vote a group of citizens who suggests the change in the armies. The So to be member of UN in 2002, we went through those different steps. We have different funding measure in terms of taxation. Also, we accepted a tax on fuel. It is higher. The population say yes. We accepted a taxation one on nuclear energy. We reacted to that, and also the on health insurance. We talk about that. On also particular topics which are not that important, and that initiative right and the referendum which is in the constitution that we valid at the regional level and at the federal level and even in some municipalities. So this is very beautiful and interesting. It enables the citizens to have their say on many topics and participate to the public life, and it favors proximities between the citizens and the politics. There always interaction, and it brings a good dynamism. And I will just keep the challenges of this direct politics. This word is not complex, and we are asked to vote on all topics. And the social media and internet just brought signature collection many easier. Now in just a couple of months we can just collect signatures. So this was done in 19 now we are more than 9 million of inhabitants, so we have to move to higher level of signatures. Then it's sometimes also instrumentalized by politically most of the time by extremists who want to pass those ideas differently. So this is the overview of the way my country works. If my country works well, it's because it's a small country. We build himself, and he has rich of his stories, history. Thank you so much. Juste dans le temps, just in time. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you for this experience sharing of Switzerland, how the participatory democracy can be a tool to better the management. And also thank you for these other forms of democracy that we use by vote and referendum and also the use of internet, social media, and you draw your attention that we have to be careful on that. Now we ended with this series of presentations. We don't have any time. Time is over, but we may going to grab time of the lunch break, the other break, sorry, but I will just take 3 persons for debate. For those who want to say something, comment, question, I will just give the floor to only 3 persons. So okay, I will take more, but let me take a group of 3. Only men. No, I'm not happy. I want to see also female. So I want to see men or women also. Also you, I will give you number 1, you number 2, you number 3, number 4. I said 3, but anyway, you have maximum. Maybe after the break. So give the mic to number 1. Number 1. So please, questions, direct questions or contribution, and it will enable the panelists to answer. So direct question, be concise and straight. The microphone doesn't work. Let me give you another mic. Thank you. I'm Dali Alexi. I think the topic debate is participatory democracy. So the word democracy is what's tiring us in Africa. Maybe the word democracy, the understanding of it may be difficult. The mayor Asale, the mayor of Tiasale, demonstrated how the participatory democracy is seen in his municipality. But generally speaking, African democracy is democracy like the Switzerland, which is democracy moving from the basis to the summit. But in Africa, the democracy is the democracy of muscles in Africa. Look behind that, in front of that muscle democracy, that is where the problem comes from. What are we going to do for that democracy of muscles to not harm the population? Thank you for the first speaker. The second speaker, a lady. And who is the third? Just get a mic closer. Direct questions or contribution to level the panelists to answer. Good day to all. I am Mrs. Silla, the president of the Union Council in Cocody. I will thank all the panelists for the very good presentation. We talk about participatory democracy here. And they talk about many models. They're the ones of Tiasale, the one of the ambassador of Switzerland. We would like microphone. Okay, we want you to indicate, to tell us the best model to follow. Thank you. What is the best model to follow? Thank you. Go ahead, please. Let me repeat the question. Yeah, go ahead directly. We represented many democracy, participative democracy models. We have the model of Tiasale. Use the mic. You don't speak in the mic. Hi. We have many participative democratic model. We have the Switzerland model. We have the Tiasale models, and we would like to know which models is suitable for our African countries, and particularly for Cocody. Thank you. I think it's very good. Third speaker. Direct question, please. I am Dr. Bamba, the mayor of Werifla. It's a contribution. I would like to thank the different speakers and said the DG of UVK said that he can take Werifla, he can get Werifla among those who have adopted the participative budget. We went further. Instead of just have small parts, have neighbors. So all the entities are representative in the municipal council in such a way that we just have to gather the councillor, and each one goes to the community to take the needs. Since we've been in power since 2019, this program is well elaborated. So I think that we are in the list of the municipalities who are doing participative budgets. I would have to go further to say we haven't insisted on one of the advantages of this budget. For example, with this, sometimes we have problem with public building. Sometimes when it is the population which decided for those buildings to be constructed, they are the one creating problem again. So this one of the advantages. I will thank the government of Cote d'Ivoire, the current government, because the population, when the population bring its budget, my municipality is smaller where I don't have enough budget. When I take, for example, I want to see the DG of Benin, and I say the priority of my region is the water. So I have to solve the problem of water. If I cannot solve the problem of water, it means I'm not a mayor. So I spoke to them, and they understood, and they did it to me. So when we understood that the need of the population was the problem of energy, then when we took it to them, they say for sure. That's what you did. That's what we asked the mayor to do, and they supported us. So that's what I wanted to say and thank them for their support. Now the population has good water and electricity. So now the list that was going around on test COVID and visa is just stuck somewhere. If you can hand it over to the young lady there. Thank you. Thank you, Bashir. Thank you for a different panelists. Congratulations. In our presentation, we notice and we feel that question of allocating the participatory budget, but do you think that we only have positive aspects? Look, when we tell the population that we invite them to be part of decision-making process without that decision to be fulfilled. So this is the question that I would like to ask to you, and commend the case of Switzerland. And the other thing that I would like to underline is the participatory budget scope. There is a program we call PACASET. It is the support program to some of the entities in Senegal, which consists of dealing with investments, and this is in line with the participatory budget. So progressively, those recent 3 years, more than 100 supports, and we are expecting 615 million because we did the participatory budget. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for this approach for Senegal. Thank you so much by taking into account all those aspects. Now, last speaker, Mr. Mayor, President of OEDP.
Thank you, Mr. Bashir. Thank you to all the participants. Your Excellency, thank you very much for your intervention. I think we will be calling on you to have some resource person who are going to train our people to participatory democracy. I heard a lady who asked her what is the type of democracy. At a point in time, we should all know that the municipality council belongs to all the inhabitants, so that you can all make your decisions about the project we're going to implement. This is why during the council we're inviting the population so that you contribute and provide your input. But you should also know, beside that when you want a mayor to serve you and the council members support and assist you, you should also assist in implementing the project. I take advantage of this to tell you that we started painting the pavements, and I want you to participate also, because this is made for your sports, for your sport activities, and not to occupy them, just anyhow, to put some tables to sell. When you want to sell, please come to the administration of the mayor, and you will be provided authorization to do this. And this is also a kind of participatory compliance and attitude. We are here to serve you and improve your environment, your living condition and working conditions, but there are some areas dedicated to work. By all means, how do we call this? That clients will come to you. You know, when we put you in a dedicated space, people will come to you because they will need to buy flowers to eat, and you know, it's not because you are by the roadside. People will buy from you. So I grab this opportunity to say yes. The type of participation and democracy, it is the civism that you show, you know, the compliance with our laws, you know, that we will be able to have a green city and a very pleasant place. Thank you very much. I think the mayor is insisting on the right and the duties of the citizen. This is very important in the participatory budget and democracy. Dear panelists, I'm giving you 1 minute to wrap up because we are close to lunch, and then during the break we can still further our discussions because we are left with 15 minutes. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Bashir, for all these questions. I would like to take the last and first question to talk about capacity building, because the neighborhood councils which are implemented, the capacities of the populations are built before we carry out the exercises, or let's say implementing the population project, and this is taken care of in the framework of the participatory budget in the communes. So the intervention, the contribution of the mayor of Worofla is making me speak of the issue of the game of alliances in the implementation of participatory budget, because the mayor's council do not necessarily have all the necessary resources. As you know, Cote d'Ivoire is now moving from a centralized state to a decentralized state. This means that the state felt the need to involve further the population and not, instead of carrying out implementing project for the population. So the state has decided to be decentralized, and that decentralization is given us to involve, engage the population. This is why we have today in our cities and territories businessmen, we have association of development, and all these actors should be used for each of them to bring his stone so that we construct a strong territory to feed the needs of the population through participatory budget. So the game of alliances are very important. We should not rely solely on the resources of the town hall or the municipality. I can also say that do the PP has its limit? Yes, the participatory budget may have limits if the council or the population do not understand the rationale behind it. Else, it has a lot of advantages and we should build on it. I know the mayor of Worofra cannot say the contrary. I think the proximity between him and its population, when he announces that they were going to be involved in the management of his city, this is important. I grab this opportunity to commend him, because the law in Cote d'Ivoire allows the citizen to come together, friends to come together to run for the position of mayor. So it is very important. It is very, very important, and his approach is relevant. We're going to use it and make that bill pass. Thank you very much. I know I'm frustrating you, but you know we have time constraints, so we have to bear all that. Can you spray the microphone with? I just want to get along with what the DG is saying regarding capacity building. My intervention made the promotion of this strategy, but we should also be able to adapt and improve the system at the population level. If you mobilize the population, they will build their capacity, and those who are supported by the town hall, of course, but those who are not being assisted should also be helped. I mean, the associations on the field. I also talked about strengthening, increasing the funds of the mayor with regard to the town and municipality. We should go outside the territory to increase our funding. I also talked about the solidarity among the associations and also the scope of the project. This is important. We should not just pamper our project. We should invest in projects which are truly changing the life of the population. You know, it's a very good approach. We just have to adapt it and improve on what has to be based on the experience on the field and the need of the population. I'll quickly address two elements. Do we have a better model, of the participatory budget? We have models, and the best models are those who are adapting to its context, ecosystem, and which is based on three elements: the people, the institutional systems, and the political will of the elected persons willing to develop a citizen participatory model. So with these three aspects, we can create an equilibrium, you know, in which we have a political will to go beyond. So this could be the best model, and the participatory budget do not only have a positive aspect, and it's transformable. We have difficulties in terms of inclusion or territorial equality for implementation of projects, and it is through these challenges that we can improve on the system. No matter the system, there is no best system. Your Excellency, thank you very much. Linking on what my colleague said, we have models we can get inspiration from, but each country has to create a model which is taking into account its aspiration, its culture and environment. The second aspect on which I would like to come back is the advantage of the participatory budget. One of the advantages we should avoid is to create projects which are not realistic. If you promise the moon to the population and at the end of the day they receive a small star, you create more skepticism instead of, you know, giving them hope. So you should make sure the resources you have are matching with what you are proposing to the system, else they will be discouraged. So it could be capacity building if people are not likely to understand what you want to achieve, you know. So it has to match definitely the two edges. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our panelists. Thank you to the participants also for your contribution.